Aloha, my name is Christina. I'm very excited to add a TRX section to our Pilates workouts. If you've never done TRX before, don't worry about it. I'll show you how to set everything up. If you have done TRX before, just be mindful that it'll be Pilates based TRX workouts. So the exercises might look slightly different than what you're used to, but it'll still be a really good and challenging workout. In today's video, I'll show you the general setup that we'll use for a lot of our exercises. So when you open up the box, you've got a few different pieces. We've got this extension strap. We've got the actual TRX straps. And then we have this piece. So if you're not at the gym or you don't have access to maybe something to actually hook your TRX onto, you can put this over the door. You just want to make sure that you're on the side of the door where if it accidentally opens, you're not going to go flying backwards. So what you do is you'd open the door, throw this over to kind of hook it into place. You'd close the door, make sure you lock it, and then you'd actually hook the strap to this little section there. The extension strap is basically to add length or height to your TRX. I know you can't see it, but I've got a hook on my ceiling. So I would just open the carabiner, I'd hook it to that, and I've got a lot of different options. See where all these like lines are to hook the straps up. So it kind of depends on the exercise that we're doing and then also how tall you are. Or if you're outdoors at a park, you can actually throw this over a branch and hook it to itself to be able to hook the TRX to this section. So at the top of the TRX straps, you've got this carabiner that you'd either hook to the hook on the ceiling, to the door part, the part that goes over the door, or to the extension strap. And there's different ways, depending on which TRX straps you have, will determine like how you lengthen it. So for this one, there's like a little squeeze tab. So I squeeze the tab and I pull, the strap gets longer. If I want to shorten them, I again squeeze the tab, I grab this yellow tab and I pull to make it shorter. So depending on what we're doing will kind of determine the length of the straps. And it's the same thing on both sides. If you have an older model, it has kind of a metal piece that slips down. So you might just have to play with it in order to lengthen or shorten the straps. All right, so we have got, I call this the handle, and I call this a strap. So again, depending on what we do, will determine which part we hold. And the last thing before we hang this guy up is, open this. Most of the straps, even some of the older versions, there is like a mark in the middle of the strap. So if this is hanging, it's about halfway down. So again, depending on what we're doing, we might actually use this as a marker. So just making sure that you have that. And then one last thing. So all the TRX straps, which are different than other suspension systems, have this little circle tab up here. So when it's hanging, it prevents you from like kind of pulling the strap all the way down and through. So even if you don't make it perfectly even with the handles, this is sort of your fail safe to make sure that you've got them even when you start the exercise. So I've got my extension strap hanging from the ceiling, which gives me a lot of different options and a lot of different heights to hang my TRX straps. So in addition to lengthening this point, we can also change how high we go. So for today, I'm gonna measure, we're gonna go with like height. I'm standing tall, I'm gonna reach up, and I'm gonna go where I can comfortably hook the strap in, where I'm not having to reach all the way up to my tippy toes. The reason why that we do that is eventually when we end up doing planks, I want to make sure that I can get this maybe like a foot-ish off the floor. If I had it too high, I wouldn't be able to get the straps low enough. So it really just depends on your height and then also how high your anchor is. Okay, so you can see this a little bit better that if I squeeze both tabs at the same time and pull, I'm lengthening them and they're pretty even. And if I want to shorten them, I would again squeeze the tab, grab this yellow piece and pull up. So I can go all the way up to the top on both sides. So we do an exercise where I'm standing and I want the straps about the length of my arms. So there's going to be a lot of different changes, really dependent on your height and also your strength when we go through our TRX exercises. So a typical setup we do, we're going to lengthen the straps down to that. I can see it slightly, this halfway point. Some of them have a white line, some of them have a black line, some of them have two lines. So we want to average it be around that area. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but we want it generally around that area. Okay, so they're even-ish. I'm gonna actually make it a little bit shorter to make sure that I am still in frame. Okay, so I call this like standing footwork or our squat series. The way that we measure is we want to be able to stand tall. Your body is vertical, your elbows are in, and the strap is tight. So if I'm too close, the strap ends up being too loose. And if I'm too far, my elbows are actually too far in front of me. So I want to really squeeze them in. So then when we bend down into a squat, your torso is actually pretty vertical. So less sort of like traditional squat where you end up kind of leaning your torso forward. We want it sort of like a wall squat. So your torso is vertical, your arms are straight, and then your thighs are maybe parallel-ish to the floor. And then we come up. Let's do like 5. So we just squat down and then back it up. So right now I'm in a Pilates V, heels together, toes apart. We do a bunch of different foot positions, but I just wanted to show you what the torso looks like when we do this exercise. So again, kind of footwork. So we've got a lot of different foot positions. Okay, another series I do is our arm series. So this is really dependent on your height and also your strength. So if I just stand in the exact same spot, spine is vertical, elbows are in, strap is tight, and I lean back from here. So now my palms are facing in, my body's like in a plank position, and I'm gonna bend. So I'm not sticking my butt out, and I'm not arching the back. So it's kind of like a little plank position. Okay. So for me, that actually seems pretty easy for my upper body. So I'm going to take like a 3-inch step forward. So now you can see that my torso and my body is a little bit more at an angle, which increases the weight. So you're actually using more of your own body weight. So then if I end up too far forward, this is going to be really heavy. I kind of, people cheat by arching their back slightly. So we really want to think scoop, glutes are working, arms are working. So I can maybe do a couple at that weight, but as we change the arm positions, it gets really, really tough. So you can always make tiny adjustments if it feels too heavy or too light. This is one of the reasons why I love the TRX because it's so versatile depending on your level, but also depending on your height and weight. Okay, so we do a little we've done our squat series, we've done our arm series. There's a couple of different options that we can do with that, going into maybe a curtsy lunge. Let's go through, and I call this standing planks. So this is the one where I want the straps. If I am kind of standing underneath the anchor, we want them about like arm length. So this is actually a little too short for me. I'm sorry, too long. So I'm going to make it a tiny bit shorter. Ta-da! Perfect. So, ooh, that's actually a little too short. So then when I stand, I'm going to stand facing out. And I'm in line with the anchor. And I'm standing. If I just let the straps hang, I'm standing in front of the straps. There are options if you want to stand directly underneath, but for today, we're going to stand in front. So when I drape the straps around and I bring my hands in, oh, that's actually pretty good. My arms are straight. So I call this standing planks. So abs are pulled in, you press down into the handles to find your lats and armpits, and then we're going to swing forward. So we're only swinging forward, maybe hands end up about like shoulder height. We don't want to end all the way out there. We want to make sure that abs are still working, armpits are still working, glutes are still working, and then we come back in. Let's do like 4 more, and 4. So what people normally do is they kind of stick their butt out. This makes it so much easier. Or they end up arching their back. So we want to think like more of a plank. And then the more comfortable you feel, maybe only go up to like eye line or eye level. One more. All right, let's hold here. So hands about shoulder height. This feels like one, weight, and this feels like kind of difficult. If you press forward more, this should get a little bit heavier, a little bit harder, but you still want to make sure that you've got good form. And if you press out even more, hands maybe about eye level, it's just much more shaky and harder to hold. Good, and then come all the way back in. So we do that series a lot. It's one of my other favorite series. All right. I do another series called standing obliques. So the strap is going to be about the same length. So as I stand, I'm going to stand in line with where it's anchored, and then the arms are up overhead. I know it's a little difficult to see because you can't necessarily see the straps, but you can tell that my arms are up overhead and I'm in line with the anchor. Okay, so I want the strap pretty tight to start. So I want to start fully vertical. We lean away, kind of bowing the body to the left, and then we come all the way up to center. This is one of the ones that doesn't look like it's very hard, but if you're doing it properly and you really stretch the oblique, it gets to be really difficult. Let's try one more. So we want to think shoulders down and then arms are away. Let's try the other side. So I just turn directly around 180 degrees. Hands are in the straps, arms up overhead. So I want to make sure that my arm doesn't get too close to my ear. I'm really framing my face and framing my head with the arms. So I'm vertical to start, shoulders are down. I'm going to lean away. So I'm kind of bowing the body, and then I come back up to vertical. Inhale, lean away. Exhale, come up to vertical. Inhale, lean away. Exhale, come up to vertical. So I want to make sure the shoulder doesn't creep up, the arms don't creep up. I'm really using my lats to hold the shoulder blades down. So I'm focusing on using my obliques. Awesome. Okay, so we've done a lot of different series. We've done a squat series, an arm series, our standing planks, our standing obliques. Next, I want to show you all the ones that we do using the mat and laying all the way down. So to lengthen the straps, I'm going to squeeze the squeeze tabs, and then I'm going to pull down. So today I want it actually pretty high. So if we're going to measure with your arm length, it's almost the length of your arm, like right around the shoulder, and the straps are about like right around the shoulder. So we're going to do bridging. If this bothers your knees or your back, sometimes it really bothers people's ankles, I would say do it without the straps. So to get in, I'm going to line my body up with where it's anchored. I'm going to feed my feet through the straps. So this is where it's a little more obvious that if you're using one foot more than the other, you can tell because the straps get really uneven. So whenever we do our Pilates bridging, we're articulating up and then we're articulating down. We're going to try to do the same thing here. It's a little more difficult because the legs are straight and the feet are actually pretty high. So you're going to take a big inhale to prepare. As you exhale, we think about pulling the abs in, squeezing your glutes, and you're going to try to articulate up to the ceiling. So the hips might not go up as high as you're used to, but we don't want to force it and arch the back. We inhale kind of in this long spine, and then we're going to exhale, roll down. So inhale, neutral at the bottom. Exhale, tuck and roll and lift. Inhale at the top, and then exhale, peel down through your spine. Good, let's do two more. So I like to flex the feet. We're going to roll it up. Inhale at the top, exhale to roll it back down. Last one. Exhale, roll it up. Inhale at the top, and then exhale to roll it back down. So there's a lot of choreography that we add to our hamstring and our bridging series, but I just wanted to show you the general setup for that. Okay, we are going to finish with our plank series. So this is probably out of all the videos that I've done and all the videos that I have, including the sliders, this is the hardest. So I want you to be really, really mindful that it's not too much on your shoulder or your knees or your ankles or especially your low back. Because your feet are suspended, the only thing touching the floor are for today are going to be your elbows. So if your abs aren't strong enough to hold your body weight on your elbows and suspended in the straps, please, please, please skip to this section. Keep working on planks with your feet on the floor to really engage the abs. I just don't want you to injure your back. All right, so if we just measured with this strap about the length of your arm, excuse me, we're gonna measure with this strap about the length of your upper arm. So my elbow's on the floor. See how tall and how high this is? I'm gonna bring it down. So about, maybe a little bit lower, there. I would rather have the straps a little too low than too high. The idea is when you're in a full plank and your elbows are down, your torso and your legs are actually parallel to the floor. Okay, so I know that there's like some fancy way to get your feet in, but I just like this. You're gonna hold the handles so the straps are open like this, and I'm just gonna like sneak the feet in. I wanna make sure, I think my mat is crooked. Oops. That my body is in line with the anchor. And then when we set up, we wanna just scoot a little bit further forward. Also depends on how long your legs are. And then we're gonna come down to the elbows. Okay, like in all of our other Pilates videos, you're wrapping the waistline, you're scooping up with the abs, start to find your lats and armpits. You're gonna reach the right leg back. Okay, hold, push into the strap, zip up, try to straighten both legs. So it's funky because we wanna make sure that both legs are straight. We wanna make sure that the straps are even. If I'm putting too much weight into one leg, they get pretty uneven. So you always wanna make sure that they're pretty stable and straight. Relax. Okay. So if you are doing this with shoes on, it's kind of nice because you can hook it around the top of the shoe. If this bothers your foot to have it there, you can try to walk it all the way up, try to get it all the way up there, to almost where your ankles are. Okay, let's try one more hold. So elbows are down. You can do parallel to each other, or you can bring your hands together and we can look a little triangle. Well, that actually feels better on my feet. Okay, so you can tell if you're crooked because your feet start swinging over to one side. So I'm thinking lats are engaged, abs are pulled in, legs are straight. Maybe even squeeze your glutes. Hold for another couple of seconds if you can. Good, and then relax. All right. So if that felt difficult for you today, I mean, it is really difficult. You want to maybe just stick with that. Just stick with that hold and then work your way up into, we're going to add lots of choreography to our TRX series. I hope that was really helpful in setting up the TRX straps. Stay tuned for a lot more TRX videos to come. I'm very, very excited to share this with you guys. Thanks for joining. My name is Christina, and I'll see you next time. Aloha.